Hello, friends. The birds have their music. They're having a good time. Forgive the background noise. Topic, couple things. Getting pushed along from birth up. How we, Moody people, fit into that. And two, prey to predators. And I'll get into that. So first, pushed along. I got a couple thoughts. When I was a little kid, my parents, both, and my two brothers and my one sister, who came a little bit later, she's the youngest, they all let me know what was what. My Both of my parents had the authority figure situation, which is a lot of you are going to relate to that. Now, my parents didn't know what to do with me. And my father had behaviors that are similar to mine in the way of moodiness. Jekyll and Hyde, kinda. You know, there'd be some times when he'd get me candy and be real nice to me, and there'd be other times when it was, you know, an entirely different situation. Now, my mood swings and my depression and my anxiety and my weirdness and my strangeness goes all the way back to my earliest memory. Actually, one of my earliest memories was putting a spaghetti bowl on top of my head. And my mom took a picture of it. She thought it was funny. I was a little odd. I was a little out there. I've always been I've always put myself in the front a lot of times. I've always been a little too outspoken, a little too bold, where other people know that, or maybe it's not so much that they know, it's that it's instinctual just to take care of yourself and just not to involve yourself with more than that. And I've never been that person. I've always attached myself to what others are doing in their lives, and I've always attached myself to caring about things that I really shouldn't care about as far as the norm goes. And my family and the people that were around me, the adults and the upbringing in my life, were always letting me know what I needed to do. They were always letting me know what was wrong and that I was doing something wrong. Or when I was at school, it was always something like, you're doing this wrong. Or calling my parents the day before Christmas break or summer break to let them know that he's falling behind. And, just, we really hate this kid. Destroy his break. Ground him, whatever, which they did. They'd let my parents know that they needed to take action and they needed to discipline me and blah, blah, blah. And I was always pushed along. You do this, you do that. And the more I get to thinking about how, and I never asked to be born, and neither did you. And you're gonna play hopscotch, or you could fuck off in reality, in society. If you don't fit in, you are so weird that people are afraid of you. I think people are more cautious than anything. They are really detailed to what's normal. It's very important for them to watch TV It's very important for them to know what the news is, the weather is, so that way they know what's going on. Because if they don't know what's going on, they're not fitting in. So if they're doing all those things, they're getting moved along with information that's really scrambling you. Anyone that has anything to do with that. So going back to when I was a kid, there was a lot of times where, you know, church type stuff was real big in the family. Real big. And if you didn't go along with it, I'd get fucked up. Physically. They'd physically fuck me up. Or if I mocked it, or if I wasn't moving along with what they were doing, they made sure that I was moving along with what they were doing. And when I was a teenager, and I was getting a mind for myself, which I always did in a way. When I was a teenager, then I was further away from my family, and I was more with my friends, and I was touching upon different things that I could mingle with, alcohol and drugs and cigarettes, and just sampling things in life that didn't have to do with what I've been told what to do. And that was a backlash and a half, because that would come back towards my family. And so my moods and my depression and how I engaged with other people really had a lot to do with absolute shittiness, which is subjective, of course. Some people could be in heaven, they can get whipped and love it. Looking back on things in life, when you talk about triggers, or you talk about anxiety, and you talk about things that make you want to stop your life, if I look back on my past, I really will get to a point where I'm overwhelmed. So I've got to, these days, basically erase my past. I have to erase my memories in a way. And that's almost impossible especially when dreaming comes around at night. So I could have all kinds of weird dreams where I'm remembering things from the past that I definitely don't want to think about. Well, there's nothing that I can do about that. I mean, I'm fucking sleepy. So then I wake up and I just shake my head. Just, God, dang it. I really don't want to be having that dream right now. So I gotta wake up and I gotta talk to myself. Fuck that. Don't think about that anymore in your dream there. If I can even go back to bed. And right now I'm chugging on 2 hours of sleep. Even though I went to bed and just laid there. Slightly manic today. Hypomanic. Anyways, I didn't really get to a point on that, what I was discussing. I guess my point is that if you yourself look back on your childhood, not necessarily ultra traumatic experiences that you had as a child, I'm talking about thousands of experiences you had just by normal day-by-day living, where you thought that was normal. And I say to myself, no, that wasn't normal. My family wasn't normal. Nor was the neighbors. Nor was the girl 2 doors down or 3 doors down. Or any of the kids in my elementary. None of them were normal. It's in your mind if you think that you are a sound person because you watch Simpsons at 7:30 at every night, or because you watch baseball, or whatever. You know, if you're chugging along and you're getting by in life, and you're doing these things because you think that this is kind of normal, maybe one day you'll wake up and you say to yourself, "Well, Simpsons is stupid, and baseball is fucking stupid." So maybe you know, so is church, and all these other fucking things that were pressed upon you from the little seed that you were in the womb until the wrinkled up man that you are today, or woman, if you're my age. Pressure about relationships with people, pressure with girlfriends or boyfriends that you might have, how you're supposed to act, how, I think about my mother saying shame on you every 5 seconds. She used to say that all the time. She was, shame on you, shame on you. And she would really dramatically fucking take an extra minute just to let me know that I'm selfish and that there's shame upon me. And those kinds of things I gotta say to myself, forgiveness, forgiveness, forgiveness. And it's rough because I hate that shit. I hate that kind of crap comes up inside of my head, which it seems to have nothing to do with my conscious mind. It seems that my subconscious mind is letting me know who I am. My subconscious mind is letting me know how I will be, or what I am, or whatever. It's constantly just beating the shit out of me. It's letting me know, hey, you want to have a nice day today? Oh, yeah? Okay. All right. Remember this? Remember that? Yeah. You remember that? Yeah. Oh, not so sweet, huh? You're not such a sweet person after all, are you? If it was up to me, I'd push a button right now to have all that shit go away. And only remember times where I was just triumphant, or times that I was only having a wonderful day, or times when I was praised for something good that I had done, which was every once in a while, so and so. I think I got praised maybe about 3 times in school, the whole 12 years. The other times it was usually just, he's acting out, he's not paying attention. Oh, does that have something to do with this up here? Maybe. Well, you wouldn't know that with your child if you yourself have no information about mental health, if you don't know anything about trauma, or you don't know anything about depression or any of those things. Even if you do know anything about depression, it's far off from knowing about mood swings or personality situations. It's not anything that's going to connect with parents, so they're just going to think that that kid's a little shithead, and they'll punish the kid. They'll whip the shit out of the kid, and they'll say you need to pray or some kind of dogmatic crap. And I'll let it out. I'll say it. And I don't feel too good about any of that, especially from my childhood. Had I been an adult where I could have said, okay, yeah, all right, I'll bite on that. No, it's, you have to do this. Here you are, you're a 1-year-old little kid. You have to do this. And I remember saying to my parents, I said to them, I said, well, what is this baptism thing? And they say to me, oh, that's when you are at the age of knowing, or whatever, conscious knowing, or whatever. Oh, really? At 8? And I remember even saying that to them. Well, I'm a kid, and then all the years before that, what about all those other years when you were making me do all these other things? Well, we were just raising you. that to do all this. No. So I remember getting into a lot of fights with them saying, hey, look, I don't want to go anymore. No, you have to go. You have to go. Being pushed along in life. I remember saying to them, I don't want to go to school anymore. They say, no, and that was a big one. They said, no, no fucking way. Your ass is going to school. I said, nah, I'll just do the homeschool thing. No, because they knew that they had to be there. And it's not just the kid just stays home and does the, no, that's not the way it goes. They knew that. I didn't know it at the time. They knew it. No, your ass is going. Your ass is going to school. And to continue on that, I got a call at school. They said, yeah, come to the office. This was when I was in 11th grade, USA grades. They say they had a counselor bring me in. Total surprise to me. She said, yeah, you don't have enough credits. You need to drop out. It's probably a good idea that you just drop out. Not giving me any options to go to vocational school or anything. Just, you're basically, by the numbers, you're no good. You got to go. And I say, oh, well, she's letting me know I'm no good. Well, that doesn't make me feel any good. So I said, what do I got to do to graduate from this shit that I've been made to do for 11 years? I got one more year. What do I got to do? She said, well, you can pay for these packets and then you can make it on into graduation. You have to get this many credits though. Because I had failed 2 classes in the sophomore year. Whatever. I didn't get along with the teachers. Hello. And so I paid for the packets. They were $200 a piece. I think it was. I paid out of my own pocket. And I remember doing those on vacations with family in Florida and everything. And telling my family that I wasn't going to go to Disney World or anything. I just stayed in the hotel room and I just did these stupid packets. I got C's and D's on the packets. And I took full credit classes on my senior year so that way I could have enough credits so I didn't have an off period. I maybe had one off period every other day. And I was crunching hard and I got through and I graduated. And that was another thing that comes to mind about being pushed along, pushed through. And then now, at 41, knowing everything that I know about myself, how my brain functions, how the mental health aspect of it, is not something that just comes along at 20. It's not something that just comes along. No, it was something that I was born with. And it's something that I've been going up against ever since the day I was born. Not that all humans don't have things that they go up against. That's something, though, if your brain is different from other people's brains. And I can say to myself that there's something wrong with my brain. Maybe there's something wrong with everyone else's brain. It's not a matter of me being incomplete. It's a matter of indifference. It's a matter of I was in a situation, born into a certain family that had certain ways, and I really cannot get on them about anything because they're going from what they are, from where they came from. And then here I am now. I really don't have a whole lot to pass on because I don't have a spouse and I don't have any children. So there's no any moodiness that I got from my father. It's not anything that I can do to another little kid. So it's bad enough when I yell at my birds when I get frustrated. I don't hurt them. I flip out sometimes and it makes me feel like shit. Just some thoughts about, pressure and I think it's a good topic because it's something that we all deal with, pressure and reasoning why we did what we did when we were younger, being punished, parents not knowing what's the matter with the kid. Why is this kid doing what they're doing? And not knowing, and only knowing that the way to get a kid to do what they do is to beat the shit out of them or whatever, spank them or whip them with a belt or whatever. Numerous times, over and over again. So the other thing I was going to talk about was being prey. So, another thing from my childhood was being prey to predators, and in many ways. So I think that some of my earliest memories were when when in school, being a little odd, I had to, maybe in an autistic way, figure out how I could get through this without getting the shit kicked out of me, without getting into fist fights every other day, or without feeling hurt from being rejected by numerous girls, because I was a little lover boy quite a bit at a very young age for older women. I had a thing for older girls, usually girls that were not my own age. I was always going after girls that were 4 or 5, 6 years older than I was, and they'd just laugh at me. Sometimes they would explain to me that I was too young. I'm going to pause it real quick. Okay. So, I'm thinking to myself in that little break, what about bullies in the predator situation as a younger guy coming up? I wouldn't really attach the bully thing to the predator and prey. The bullies are the bullies. They were always there. There's always a dickhead anywhere I go in life. It doesn't matter where I go, there's always a dickhead. And it's usually in a place where I'm settled in, and I've got to be around people for a certain amount of time. And this is a situation where people can figure you out, and then things start going. I noticed when I was in junior high that the shittiest of people popped up on the first 2 days. And these are 1 or 2, 3 kids that were a bit of a pile of crap all the way up through until they were expelled from high school or whatever. There's one kid specifically that comes to mind that he was a real miserable, angry, violent person. Real hands-on, pushy, just pissed all the time. Very young, too. He's maybe a year older than me. So, we're talking, I was in 7th grade, so he was maybe 8th grade. And I saw him a year ago or so at the gas station, and he had the same shitty look on his face. Mad, real mad, just getting out of his car at the gas station, just with the really mad looking face. And I realized that the stigma, even on all those people from back when you were a little kid that were whatever, these are very unique people indeed, because we're talking hundreds of, maybe thousands of kids in that junior high. And here's only a couple of them that I can actually remember that were that much of a pile of crap. Well, to me at the time. So the understanding is something that I would have been nice if my parents would have understood, or maybe looked beyond prayers for information on as to why this kid's having this so distraught in their arms, or why he's crying about something for nothing at 7 years old or whatever. It was never there. The information was never there. Society had let you know that it's Jesus, God, you need to pray and then your kid will be okay, which was bullshit, and the kid's not okay. Here he is still today. That all rhymed. So, if you are in a manic mode, you can be prey. If you are in a manic mode, you can be a predator as well. You could go out there and you could be looking for dudes or guys or women or whatever you're into. And you can be on both sides of it's that innocence or not being naughty in a way, public way. And let's stick with the prey thing here. If you are manic or depressed and you're in a relationship with someone, or someone says, "Oh, what do we have here? This person here is seeming a little vulnerable. Maybe I can get something out of this. Maybe I can get laid. Maybe I can take something from them." Well, that's probably humanity right there speaking, loud and clear, letting you know. Still, if you stand out in a weird way, you're prey. If you're crying on the corner, or you're showing any kind of pity, a predator will notice that, and they will come over to you and they will say, "Oh, are you okay?" Yeah. And I'm not talking about someone that's going to take you back home and end you right then and there. I'm just saying, they're saying, all right, here's someone that I can take advantage of. Because this is humanity. Humanity is looking for someone to take advantage of. It's evident in your big hills on the hill, or big houses on the hill, excuse me, and your little shanties at the bottom, where there's flooding and horrible insurance needs and everything else. And there's people doing real well during times when things are going very horrible for others. This is a predatorial taking on prey. Usually people with big hearts, people that care about other people, that are very concerned with their families, very concerned, and they're distracted by that, and they're not 24/7 thinking about how they can take from other people. And this is the difference between people that have a whole lot and people that don't, unless they inherited it, which is a possibility, that they're just a hippie that inherited money. And even then, they still have the money, and they still have the blood, and they still have the genetics to be what their mother and father was. This is a little bit of an issue for people that are moody. Because people are going to spot this about you. And even though they'll criticize you and let you know that, oh, you do this wrong, or you do that wrong, or you never do this, or you always do this, they're letting you know what you are. Well, they're predators, and they're letting you know what they want you to be. And I've got an issue with that, a big one. There's people that have no mood swings, no depression, no issues with mental health, as far as, severe, painful depression and whatever. And they're out in the middle of the woods picking mushrooms. They don't have credit cards, they don't have shit, they don't have anything. They've made little holes under trees, and they've made a way to escape. And there are people that have done this. I know that there's people that have done this. There's people that have gone way up, far up into northern Canada, where control doesn't even bother with them because there's only one person that's gone up where there's bears that will eat them. They've got to fend off and do whatever. I know these people exist. They're they're doing their own thing, and it has nothing to do with mental illness. And then there's people with mental illness that are in the city that have to fend off fucking predators. They have to fend off sharks. They have to fend off people that are cons, basically. You don't know that you're slipping into a con because they have spent a lot of time putting something together that's very dubious, that you, and their crack of getting you is your vulnerability. That's how you're the prey, and that's how they get you. My grandmother, who's passed away, she did the online sweepstakes, and she used to tell my father that when her boat comes in, that she's going to do this, she's going to do this, and she actually thought that if she did she did the online or the fucking mail sweepstakes, that she would be rich. And those are predators. Those are people that are preying on people. They're preying on dreams. They're preying on people's their earnings, what they do for their meat. And these people are there to take that away, so that way they can have a little bit of a bigger residence, or they can have a little bit of a bigger, they can have a prettier spouse, or they can have a prettier kids, or maybe a pond in their real estate, or maybe an extra real estate in Hawaii or whatever. These are predators. I've never known a good-hearted rich person. Never. I never have. I've heard online about so-and-so donating and so-and-so donating. Well, all that's not actual factual, where that they actually did any of that stuff. It's just a come along where you do it too. Those are predators doing that as well. And then you have the prey. And, it's sad that charities take what they can, legally doesn't mean shit. Still, they can take a percentage of a nonprofit, and that's not, so your dollar that you're pressured for at the gas station or whatever, will you donate to this and this in front of your clerk so you look like an asshole? I always put fucking no, because if I'm going to do that, I'll do it on my own. I don't need to have that shit when I'm anywhere. I don't need that pressure. And this is being pushed along in life. It pisses me off. These people are taking that money, and they're not, 100% of it is not going to these people that you think that it's going to. So if you slip a $100 bill, which that's out the door now, it's all going to be pushing a button. Okay, $5 to this people. Okay, $10 to them. Okay, maybe 50 cents of that will go to them. Maybe. Predators and prey. How about boyfriends and girlfriends? Okay. Predators and prey. If you have a boyfriend or a girlfriend, they're wanting something from you. A wife or a spouse, they're wanting something from you. And there's a communal agreement or a law thing where, will you take this person, blah, 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 and it brings God crap in. And you throw that out, you have the law stuff, okay? Binding, ties. And then you have children, binding, more binding, binding, binding. And then you're just kind of pressured. You're just kind of pressured. You just pray. Pressured prey. And I've never dug that. That's why I'm single, 41. You think there's times when I wasn't laying in bed alone, cold? It's especially on times when I thought I was going to die. There's been some times when I've been so fucked up that I thought I was going to die. And I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, all right, if I die right now, then I'm just gonna die alone. Well, I'm gonna die alone anyway. It's not as if I'm gonna die with someone. Probability is no. I'm gonna die alone anyways. And I don't need that pressure. And maybe that has a lot to do with why I am single today. Probably. I don't want the pressure. I don't need, and I also don't need someone to prey upon me, and I don't need to be a predator towards others. And I have the urge to be a predator. And I don't think that's unusual. Because you got to be a real lying bag of shit to say that you don't have the urge to be a predator yourself. I do. I do have the urge. I think about it all the time. I think about people I've seen around and that I constantly see, and I was thinking, well, I could do this, I could do that. And I have to shake my head off on that. I'm not into it. Because I know where all that crap goes. It's full circle. And I'm not talking about some mystical thing. I'm talking about reality of your own actions being in your own conscious mind, where you're going to say to yourself, down the line, fuck, I did that. And it's a horrible feeling. And it's not, even if I push out morals and everything, it still bothers me because I personally, my mind just says, I hate that I did that. I hate that was the route that I took, at least, that I even went that way. It bothers me quite a bit. So as far as staying away from predators, well, I isolate, for one. Probably a defense thing. Also, too, my moods get in the way, and I don't want the grief. We know that. And I really do not want the burden of other people's shit as well. And my mood swings are so much that I definitely would not be good around children, and I definitely don't want to be around children because they irritate me in a way. Maybe they don't irritate you, they irritate me. And I barely can get along with my birds. They irritate the shit out of me. and I love them still though, so it's a give and take thing with the birdies. There's times when I really, really, really have to suck down and I have to say, okay, they're doing their thing right now, and I just gotta chill the hell out and let them do their thing. Or I've got to get savvy on how I can please them in a way. So this is basically some of my thoughts. I don't know if I really have any tips. Maybe it's just some conversation. If you'll have it, you always can comment, say what you think. I'm happy if you're all doing well. Some of you are doing pretty good. All of you are basically doing fairly good as far as the connections I have. And I'll do a couple of shout outs. Shout out to KK. Love ya, KK. You like to be called, is it Horashino? Horatiano? Horashino? I'd like to know where you came up with that. That's not your name. It's interesting. I like that. Sabrina, you're out there. I don't know what you've been doing. I know you post on Instagram. I don't go on Instagram, so forgive me. It's not that I'm avoiding you. I just don't fucking go on Instagram. I know you've been in a place there in somewhere there in San Diego, I think. San Francisco or San Diego. Somewhere in Southern California, I think you were saying. By your school you were going to. And I think that's basically my buddies on here that talk to me. So, if I forgot about you, let me know. And it's Sunday, February 6th, 2022. The foul year of our Lord. Have a good night. And remember, are you a predator? Are you prey? How do you mingle with that? What do you want out of everything? What can you give to others where you're not a fucking predator? And if you're a younger person, probably more than anything, if you're a younger person, how can you get along with your family and with your schools and wherever you're at, being the person, the moody person that you are, being the person, the human that you are? And how can you stay being the person that you are without conforming to their dogma or their bullshit that they press upon you? Because I had a little taste of it. Anyway, good night.